going through kidney disease and subsequently doing dialysis can be no. Let me rephrase that. It's hard. It's very difficult. It's very challenging. Whatever you think, if you're not a person that does dialysis, whatever you think it is, it's like double that. And it can be challenging going through this time in your life, being surrounded by people that claim they like you and they're okay with watching you suffer for years and years. Everybody's always got thoughts and prayers for you, but what you really need is a solution. So in my case, and I've mentioned this before, I never asked anybody that I knew for a kidney. All I ever asked of anybody was just kind of spread the word. And I found myself being surrounded by these same people that a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them couldn't even do that. And it's a disheartening feeling to be surrounded by people who, you mutually like as much as they like you, and like you would put forth the effort without even having to be asked, and they're just cool with you just being in this position. And if you die, everybody just has a RIP for you, and then they'll say some nice things. They're like, oh yeah, RIP Carl, he was a great guy. My condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to his family, but nobody ever tried to do anything. So what I had to start doing over time is that I never stopped liking those people. And before anybody says anything, no, it's not anybody's obligation to try to help me. But if you claim to be a friend, if you claim to care about somebody, if you claim to like someone, at the very least, if that person makes a minor request that costs you nothing, I don't really see what the problem is to oblige. But I had to start reevaluating individuals in my life from that point forward. So people that I had a lot of admiration for, people that I really liked a lot, I had to start compartmentalizing them into areas of my life differently than I did before. And it's not to say that I dislike these people or anything like that. Initially, I was very disappointed of wow, this person couldn't even do this despite the fact that I asked. And, there would be particular people that I would ask specifically to help me with this, just to do the bare minimum, and they just didn't. They couldn't. They just couldn't do it. I don't know if it's because they didn't want a certain image on their social media, or they didn't want their people to know certain things about the people that they associate with. I don't really know what the justification was. But I never asked anybody that I ever knew, no one, ever, at any time, for a transplant, for them to give me a kidney. Never. And I never would have. So when I came to this revelation, maybe I started thinking that maybe it's cool to, send them funny memes or jokes and stuff on social media, and maybe even sometimes hang out with them, but always understand that those aren't the kind of individuals that I can call on in a crisis. And it's okay to have those kind of people. I find that a lot of the people that I associate with aren't those types of people, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that I still can't have a good time with them. It doesn't mean that I still can't hit them up and see what's going on, and maybe even go to a convention or something with them, or send them funny stuff on socials. But understand that they're not those people. They're not ride or die people for me. They might be that for other people that they know. They're not the kind of people that would do anything, even just the smallest request, but they might do that for other people. So I had to start putting them in places where I felt comfortable enough, where I didn't feel like I needed to cut them off. Because going through dialysis, kidney disease was a miserable time for me. I was always in the hospital, and I'm the kind of individual that with this, what you run into with this is that you see people give you a vertical slice of the best parts of their experience with dialysis. They don't show you how the sausage is made. They don't show you the real, how, like, what this really is. They don't show you the blood and the misery and the surgery and the scars and the pain and the tears, and they don't show you all that. They hide that from you because they want to maintain this image that they are happy. I've never hid any of this. Anytime I was depressed, anytime I was sad, anytime I cried, all the scars, all the pain, all the misery, all of it. I wanted to show all of it because that's the reality of what this is. That's what this is. It's not fun. It's not a roller coaster. You're not blessed. God did not choose you to suffer. It's a bad time all around. Which brings me to this. There was one individual who I considered a friend, but upon further reflection, that person never considered me a friend ever at any point. I was just some guy that they knew. And I specifically asked them, because of the history that we had and how long we've known each other, hey, listen, do you think, dude, you can just post this to see if you could just spread the word that I need a kidney? They agreed to do it and then didn't. And there was no follow-up. What I mean is, like, they didn't express that they did it. Like, hey, listen, I put your information up on socials, and, you know, you would look on their socials, and I was nowhere to be found. And they just didn't do it. And they just, the other people in their lives who this person was desperately trying to be a part of took priority over the people that really cared about this person. And upon realizing that, I realized that I had to cut that person off. And that made me sad because I really liked that person. I vibed with this person, you know, and we had a lot of great times together, but maybe that was just from my point of view. And I find that a lot of people have that same experience with me of just like, I'm just some guy that they know from some place, somewhere. They met me on a job, and I don't matter. And whereas I will always care, unfortunately, a lot of people that I meet, you know, along the way don't really care as much or give me the same amount of consideration as I would give them. And again, that's okay. But that's where the prioritization comes in, and the compartmentalizing. I realize that this person doesn't care about me the same way I care about them. So I have to put them, like, over here. Or I got to put this person over there. Or I got to put this person here and there and the third. And it made it a lot more comfortable. And it made it a lot easier for me to interact with people. And I had to lower my expectations with individuals. Right? So I can't be disappointed if my expectations weren't that high with certain people to begin with. And that was a mistake that I had to learn the hard way when you're sitting in a hospital on an oxygen tank, struggling to breathe because there's blood in your lungs, and you've been spitting up blood for like days. And you're showing this, and you're getting likes, and you're getting prayer hand emojis, and you're getting, you know, you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. But you don't feel like that at the time when it's happening. I hope this doesn't come off as resentful or like a declaration of war or anything like that, you know. But these same people that, you know, didn't want to do anything to try to help you in any way are the same people that when they find out that you got the transplant are the same people that are patting you on the back telling you congratulations, we always knew you could do it. And it's just, if you are doing dialysis, you know, just sort of lower your expectations with people around you and how much engagement that they have with you with this. So that way you never find yourself disappointed.